Hello and welcome to Refuse. As always, I'm Plume Noir, and here we have Spider-Man and Venom Double Trouble by Mariko Tamaki and Giri Hiri. If you ever notice, I go through that name really quick, the Giri Hiru, because I know I'm mispronouncing it, so I just kind of rumble it off real quick and move on. You're not supposed to point it out, but here I am pointing it out because I know someone will comment on it. Anyway, this is the final issue. I expected this to go 6 issues because it would be easy to do a 6 issue trade paperback, get it out into stores. Here's my Black Cat JR, which is appropriate since we have the Venom Black Cat. Anyway, I figured this would go 6 issues, but this is the last issue. And I don't know what to make of it. I really don't. See, this is aimed at kids. It's a kid's book. There's no other way to say it. I know I'm repeating myself, even though it says it is rated T for teen. This is not aimed at teens. This is aimed at like the 7 and younger crowd. This is aimed at the scholastic, book fair people, which is why I expected it to be 6 issues. So maybe they'll just make a 4 issue trade paperback, put in the Scholastic flyer, send the kids home with it, and say, "Look, it's a Spider-Man comic, yay!" Haven't said that. So what's going on? If you remember at the end of the last issue, I feel stupid saying this. Spider-Man and Venom have been turned into a squirrel and a cat, respectively, by that device that Venom as Spider-Man, because they switched bodies, won in the American Ninja Warrior-esque contest, and then they get captured by Dr. Octopus. So, what's he going to do? He instantly recognizes who they are, that the squirrel and Venom are, the cat and Venom, and one and the same. Spider-Man and the squirrel are one and the same. So he captures them, and what diabolical thing is he going to do? He's going to take pictures. Yeah, he's going to take pictures. He just happened to be walking down the street, and he saw a beautiful explosion out of nowhere, and goes over and sees them. Yeah, little fuzzy you and you together. What are the odds? I mean, technically, Spidey and I do live together. So, hold on. I need to get my camera. We must save this moment. Okay, so they're trying to figure out how they're going to get out of the cage. So, Spider-Man wonders if they have animal powers. So, Venom lets out a big meow, gets all the cats' attention, and then they just go back to what they're doing because they're cats and they don't give two craps. So, Spider-Man tries to use squirrel powers, and even Venom says, "You're going to hurt yourself doing that." So, when Dr. Octopus comes back to take pictures, he hears a rumbling, and we get almost a 2-page spread, one little inlet, of all the neighborhood squirrels running in and freeing them. Because that's what squirrels do. I have squirrels outside here, and they just bark at each other, and they chase each other. I've never seen any type of teamwork. And of course, I really don't see that with the neighborhood cats either. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So this is the point where you're just like, you know what? Whatever. Just whatever. It's a kid's book. Mariko Tamaki's just going to do whatever she wants to do, and, plot be damned. Under the excuse, hey, it's a kid's book. It's funny. It's not really that funny, though. It really, really isn't. I expected them to work Squirrel Girl into this. That would actually make sense. And, I don't care for Squirrel Girl, but hey, that would make sense. So they get out, and a couple ads here, and they decide they need help, so they go get Spider-Gwen. Sorry, Ghost Spider. One interesting thing is Giri Hiru's art here really makes her outfit kind of sexier than you expected. It almost kind of looks like a one-piece leotard corset thing, like what Scarlet Witch is classically worn, with really high thigh-high boots. That's kind of nice if you ask me. Probably revealing a little bit too much about myself. So, anyway, they have to find Venom in Spider-Man's bodies, but Spider-Man left his phone on, so she uses it as a tracker. And guess where they're at? If you thought it involves food, yes, because this is a Mariko Tamaki book, and it will be focused on food. Pizza Fest. Yeah, a pizza fest in Brooklyn where they just have tents and tents of pizza and giant letters of pizza. And yeah, sure, whatever. Because it is a Mariko Tamaki book, it will have a huge food thing to it. So that was me shaking my fist and ended up just shaking the phone here. So I was actually doing this. And the animals, the squirrel and the cat in Spider-Man and Venom's body, are gorging on food. And of course, Venom is super excited. I mean, I get it. Pizza's awesome. Now, I would have appreciated if this was chocolate. Now, granted, there's a whole you shouldn't give animals chocolate. But the Venom symbiote, gets the same chemicals eating chocolate that, he does eating brains. It would have been a neat little thing had she done that, but you know what? Mariko doesn't look anything up about characters. She doesn't do research. She just kind of skims a Wikipedia article. And anyway, that's my complaint is that it's pizza. No, it's food anyway. I would have complained anyway. It's stupid. Uh, so, oh yeah, and this is a tease. As I mentioned in that previews thing, it sucks that they're doing a preview of her in her old costume and not her new backwards Spider-Man costume. So now they have to hunt down the bodies and, get the bodies back. And oh no, how are they going to do that? Well, Squirrel Spider-Man gets a lasso and rides Venom. And apparently, Ghost Spider has squirrel powers. Because, she says, I said, hey, I'll give you an acorn if you stop. That worked. And Squirrel Spider-Man stopped. Why? Because the book's coming to an end, and who cares? Haha, it's funny. No. And of course, somehow, Squirrel Spider-Man knows how to work the web shooters. Yeah, that just knows how to work it instead of being just completely, animalistic and working off instinct. No. And of course, Venom in the cat's body gets gorged, and yeah. Because, haha, food, right? Food's great. Pizza's awesome, right? Right? Yeah. Anyway, there's not much more to it. Long story short, they capture them. They use the device Venom had created to originally switch their bodies, to switch them out of the animal bodies, get them back in the rightful bodies. And, of course, they tease Venom because they aren't going to switch him back yet because of all the trouble he's done. And we're going to set up some punishment, but he's not doing the punishment. Now, I know I've said that this book is a kid's book, and I've been going really easy on it, because I don't think it's really right to judge a kid's book by what would be considered more adult standards. And I have to say, I have been enjoying this book for the most part, because you can see Mariko has a lot of fun writing it. It's like, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's like when Mariko writes younger characters, you can tell she is having a blast. And, that's what she's aiming for. If it's what she's good at, and she is doing a good job. There are funny bits, even in this issue. There are a couple, funny lines. I didn't laugh aloud at anything, but there were parts where it's just like, okay, that's kind of funny. That wasn't one of them. But the problem, and it's always me saying the problem, but the problem with this is that it's a book aimed at kids, but it still makes no sense. It was all a big thing to have them switch bodies and then put them in animals. Because, right? Huh? That's funny, right? So it starts off with Venom's plan to switch their bodies, and then he goes into that American Ninja Warrior contest to win that matter shaping, reality altering gun. Why? Now, the gun got dropped in the last issue, so it's still floating out there. But, who cares, right? It could be picked up. Dr. Octopus was right there. He could have picked up the gun. Maybe he went back for it. Um, what about that whole kind of subplot in the early issue or two with the feed me Seymour carnivorous plants that were growing out of Gwen's apartment because of Venom? Dropped. Even though it had some of the art showing, even on the covers, that it was going to be it seemed like it was going to be a big deal or would maybe come back. No, no. Green Goblin, yeah, he just happened to pass by, saw Venom, who was actually Spider-Man in Venom's body, and fought with him because Venom owes Green Goblin money. Okay, you know what? I will almost give that one. But they get captured by Dr. Octopus, who just happened to be out walking, eating a hot dog right next to the explosion. That's the antagonist. Yeah, that's it. There's a lot of stuff in here that goes nowhere. And again, that's something I say with Mariko's books. She puts these things in that they're not even red herrings. Because she puts them in, you expect them to play a part later. No, they never do. She just needs something to happen in the background or whatever. And she never comes back to it ever again. She's done that in previous books. I've talked about it at length in previous videos. This was all just to get them to switch bodies. Okay, I understand that's the plot point. But why did Venom want that gun? What was he going to do with it? It never answered. It's never answered what Venom's motivation was. Other than, oh, it's silly, it's ha ha ha, it's stupid is what it is. This is typical Mariko Tamaki writing. She kind of shoehorns what she wants, the plot to go, the story beats, but they don't really make much sense. There's really bad motivation, and I can't even forgive it on some of the stuff that, oh, it's just a kid's book. Because I know even as a kid, I'd wonder, so what happened with the gun? Venom's plan, and since I skipped a few pages, I think I can show the last page. They're back living together, and Venom's cooking up something else, and, Spider-Man's none the wiser. Oh, and apparently the cat's living with them now, too, so. Why? What was the whole point of all this, other than to have a silly little ha 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 romp? And that's why I don't really review kids' books. And that's why I don't really, I said I don't like Mariko Tamaki's writing. I can find the good bits. Some of the dialogue here is kind of cute, kind of funny. Um, the whole, hey there, little kitty, and Venom just freaking out. I am not your kitty. Yeah, okay, that's kind of funny. It's the dialogue when she writes for kids is not bad, but when she actually tries to write a plot aimed at kids, you still see all her problems from previous things that I've pointed out already. It's it's very by the number. She has a very by the number style, but anyway, this is the last issue. I really think had she gone back to explain what Venom's plan was, they could have milked this for 2 more issues and got a full 6-issue trade paperback. But I guess a 4-issue trade paperback will be cheaper for the kids and Scholastic, and hopefully someone will talk them out of it. So, anyway, this book, I gotta go 4 o'clock on this. I was enjoying this book. It actually had bits. When I say book, this series, it actually had bits throughout that kind of made me laugh. Where I just say, okay, you know what, let's go with this. It's kind of silly. And then once you get to the whole squirrel thing, the squirrel rescue, you're just like, okay, yeah, it's a wave of squirrels. Is that funny? How? How did Spider-Man do that? That's a squirrel power, I guess, to summon a avalanche of squirrels through the window. So, yeah, whatever. 4 o'clock, and thankfully this book is done, and I hope I don't read another Mariko Tamaki book for a long, long time. Anyways, as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.